Fáilte a ríist go Music at Maddens Lumsa Lynette Fay. Welcome to another edition of Music at Maddens here in the snug upstairs in the home of traditional music here in Belfast City. And today my guest is Sinead McKenna. Fáilte road, Sinead. So a Tyrone fiddle player, singer, composer. Oh, Sinead, you've got it all. Ticks all the boxes. And we'll talk about the album and there's so much to talk about. But first of all, I was interested in growing up in a house with all siblings and the parents playing music. So did you just start playing the fiddle basically in the cradle?
Well, basically, like it was kind of it was put into our hands. Like we were told, oh, here's the whistle, here's the fiddle, and give it a go. And we were brought around the place for lessons. And I suppose it was great growing up because you always heard it in the house, even if it wasn't someone playing it. It was always coming through the radio or daddy's tapes or just music in the car and CDs. So it was great that we're always kind of immersed in the music from a very young age.
So it would have been your daddy and your mummy just playing music?
Yeah.
When you were small, obviously you weren't playing music at that point?
No, but we were very lucky. They both had a really strong interest in it, and that kind of was handed down to us from an early age, and they kind of inspired us to play it and to use it to our advantage and socialise with it. So it's kind of, that's the way we got into it, is by going to sessions and meeting people our own age and bringing it into school and trying to play it. And
what kind of what recordings would have been on the go in your house? What's your earliest memories? Was there an album? Was there an artist you'd have listened to?
Yeah, definitely. I always remember hearing Cheetah playing in the car and on the way to Tubbercurry for festivals, and Didan, Fluke, Bioga, just any band I suppose that were kind of up and coming at the time, and even older bands like Four Men and a Dog, Plankstay, Didan, and the Bothy band. It was they're the prime listening sources in our house at the time. So yeah, I suppose now we still listen to them and we still play the music that we learned from those CDs growing up. Yeah,
just to give our listeners, viewers, an outline of your family. So your daddy what's his instrument?
So dad plays the banjo, Eugene plays the fiddle, Daniel plays the box, James plays concertina, I play fiddle, Peter plays the pipes, Kieran plays the fiddle and the harp and the piano, and Katrina plays fiddle and piano. So it's a hectic household. You know yourself now, you don't have a dull moment. There's always a clattering match in some room in the house.
But where would you even have got? Would you have had space to, or silence or pace to?
I don't think mum and dad got any pace
practice
now. If it wasn't music, it was something else. But there was always a fight nearly to get into one of the rooms if we had to practice for something, or else there was a fight to get us to practice. It was one or the other. So, no, it was good. And I suppose we had the space in the house to do it, and we all learned from each other at the same time, which was nice.
Yeah, because you grew up in a house where you were doing up the house at the same time, and then you all growing up in the house was kind of like an ongoing project. Yeah. Just what was that like?
So actually, our house used to be a chapel, and Daddy started renovating it whenever we were toddlers, and we were living out the back of the chapel in the vestry, and there's probably a few tunes played out there, and a few notes played, and that was kind of the start of it. I don't really have any early memories, but I'd say the boys do. But I know that Mummy would always say that we were out playing and kind of practicing out the back of the vestry, and then as the house got built, we would have moved into the house, and then it kind of just evolved from there, and it was great. And it's nice to have that even bit of history. And even now, you'd have some tourists stopping at the house, and they're like, "Oh my God, can we come into your house? Our parents got married here." And I'm like, "Aye, that's a $5 at the door there." Not really, but we should. But it's good crack, because there's always something happening around the house, so.
So there's if your house was a chapel, you could work out who sleeps or lives in the altar and who's up in the gallery 100%. And all that.
Sure, we used to say to Dad on a Sunday, sure, we don't have to go to mass. Sure, we can not just stay here. It's like the Zoom masses now. Do it from home. We were doing it from an early age.
I think you might have head on to another business there as well.
I swear.
Oh my gosh! And then how did it come that you chose to play the fiddle?
I suppose Daddy's uncles played the fiddle, and he always wanted some of us to play the fiddle, and he started off by giving Eugene the chance, the oldest brother, to go around and learn, and then I suppose we just picked it up, and if we liked it, we kept with it, and we didn't, we just maybe chose something else. So okay, I really love it, and I suppose it's opened so many doors for me, especially like having the family environment where we all, like, there are a few of us play the fiddle. It's lovely, and we're so lucky that we can learn from each other, and we can criticise each other in the house, and we're definitely good at doing that now. Whenever something's going well, you'll know, but whenever something's going bad, you'll definitely know. Like,
But that's great.
That's great.
And you know, and it seems that you're it's given you a really healthy relationship with your siblings as well, because
definitely.
you genuinely do
Yeah.
enjoy playing tunes together.
Definitely, like we have the same interests and the same social life, and a lot of us have the same friends, and it's definitely a big part of growing up now, because you know you connect deeper with them when you can relate more, especially through, it's not just your sibling, like they're your best friends as well, which is lovely.
So I'm really interested in that, Sinead, because you know, you're growing up in a family, and you have a big family. You know, there's 7 of you, so you have 6 siblings, and you're growing up there playing the tunes together in the house. Can you remember a time whenever you went outside the house or to the first festival or the first fla and realised that this wasn't just something we do, this is something other people do as well, and that there was a network and a bigger community there?
Yeah, I suppose growing up, like we did practice in the house, but we wouldn't have sat down and like said, right, we're going to play for an hour here,
Yeah.
because you know yourself, siblings, like you'd be scrapping the bit out at the same time. So trying to get us to sit down even for duet or trio
a few
practices.
broken bows, have
A few
you?
broken bows, sitting on tin whistles and badness and a bit of crack, like. But at the end of the day, like when we went outside of the house and we went to like festivals, like our earliest memories are going to Tubbercurry, the South Sligo summer school, and bringing the caravan down for the week and plonking her up and going into the town and sharing the music with other musicians. And it was lovely, because like there was times where like we did have our own like kind of tunes that we learned growing up from our teachers, like Laura Began or Aidan O'Neill, and when we went down to those type of festivals and we played them, like we were bringing that from Tyrone and Monaghan. Like it was something that we could share with other people, and it was something that we seen, oh, this is nice, that we actually, this is maybe a bit different, that we actually are a family. And but at the same time it was lovely, because you know, sorry, I can't take that here.
Yeah, we're upstairs in Maddens, so there's a bit of a feed coming up from downstairs.
Yeah,
Somebody's
and we're missing the crack.
clearly there's a bit of a sing song going on downstairs, Sinead.
Raging now. No, but like it was nice when we went to those sort of festivals, because it kind of opened up. We're like, okay, this is a social thing too. Like we can share this with other people, and other people are interested in the music that we play.
Something really interesting you said there. You know, going to the likes of Tubbercurry in South Sligo, which is really well celebrated, really well respected festival as well. The music of Sligo, whether it's the Coleman fiddle playing or the flute playing of Sligo, is known as a style throughout the country and further afield. And then you think about the idea that you were exponents of Tyrone and Monaghan music, coming from the area you come from, because you're from Clogher, the Clogher Valley in County Tyrone, which straddles like that area of Tyrone, but also you're right on the Monaghan border as well, and your mummy's from Monaghan. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But when you were exchanging or sharing music that you had learned, which was rooted in the place you're from, like, were you aware of the fact that you were passing something on, or was there a pride involved in you doing that? Maybe something you didn't realise at an early age.
I don't know.
I
I don't think we really understood at the time. I think we just thought we were learning tunes and we're playing them out publicly. And I think it's not really the tunes that come from those areas, but the style of playing.
Yeah.
Because the tunes that we learn come from all over Ireland, and they're handed down from like the older generation, which we're so lucky for. And especially in Tyrone, there's so many older people that don't get enough attention and don't get enough appreciation for the music that they have shared throughout the years. And like we're so lucky that we grew up and we got to hear them in the likes of Dunulla or Hayden's Bar.
Who would you have heard? Who are those people you're referencing?
Like I remember like listening to I think his name was Jim Ward or Joe Ward, and he used to come in with a hat and he'd play the bodhrán. But there was the likes of him, and he grew up with that generation. They understood rhythm and they understood they really appreciated the tunes, you know, from what they were, because they had to go through the process of learning them by ear, and then especially like when music came from America, they learned it from the radio and then they shared it. But I think it's so nice that value for the music and the appreciation, like that they had, the older generation had, and you could hear it in their music as well. Whereas sometimes I know, like, and I'm guilty of it as well, like when you're playing, you kind of just batter the tunes out and then you're going on to the next, and maybe we don't spend enough time like actually researching the tune. We just learn it and then we move on. But I think as I've got older now, I really do like appreciate more like the root of the music and how much we need to like invest our time in like understanding like the composer and the history and the place that it's came from. And I'm trying to put that into my own plan now when I'm sharing music on in platforms or in performances. Like, I want to understand where this tunes came from and why it's important.
What do you think that has given you? You know, being able to recognise that that's something you needed to work on, something you needed to research. And then when you do research, you're learning from that experience.
Yeah.
And when you put the work in, you definitely do benefit from it. So how have you benefited from it, both as a person and then in your playing?
I think as a person, it's made me connect more like with the musicians, that like the composers of the tunes and the musicians that play them, and it's really made me put a value on music. You know, as it, like, I never thought, like, my parents always said growing up, you know, you'll appreciate this when you're older, and you don't actually understand it until you're older.
Yeah, mummy, right.
I know, and I'm like, right, okay, like you might complain about having to learn it, and then when you're older, you're like, God, that's actually lovely. Like, you know, that's nice. Like, that's a gorgeous piece of music, and like you really like relate more to the composer, and like when you like learn from like why they wrote it or where they wrote it. And I suppose I'm trying to bring that in now to my own plan when I'm trying to play music or sharing like the context of music on a stage, that I'm not just going up and sitting down and playing the tune and then leaving, that I can share with the audience what I've learnt as well. And I suppose like I'm trying to write music as well, but it's not as easy as you think. But when you sit down, you're trying to like put yourself in the shoes of someone who can think about why this piece of music might be important, or like why are you writing this piece of music, like instead of just like writing down a few notes, like you want to put a bit of emotion and put a bit of thought into the work. So
it's all about the story, and what you're exactly. Carrying on, because at the end of the day, that's what this tradition is. It's a deeply rooted, really old tradition. That tells the story of who we are, and I suppose with your compositions, where we're going to and what we're going to become as well. You've mentioned there the area you come from in Tyrone, Clogher Valley, and I was thinking ahead of talking to you today, I've never asked you this question, even though I've known you for an awful long time. I do wonder, for anyone who hasn't been in that area, as I've said, you straddle the Tyrone and Monaghan border. Your mummy and daddy are an inter-county marriage, so there's a lot that comes with that as well. But down around there, there's like a real kind of spiritual area in Knockmany Mountain, particularly because that's a Neolithic site. You know, we know the importance of Newgrange, but there's one which is really a hidden gem at the top of Knockmany Mountain. You grew up in the shadow of that mountain. Yeah. Has it had any effect on you, that area, or knowing, understanding the place where you're from? Yeah, I think it's a really, really undermined part of Tyrone, and especially like in the Clogher Valley. Like most people drive through Clogher. You know, 5 mile town, 6 mile across, and 7 mile round. Yeah, exactly. And that's all you hear when you say you're from Clogher. But there's so much more depth to it. And when you say you're from Clogher, there's so much more depth. And I suppose people won't know that until they're in the area and they're spending time in it and they can connect with it. But I suppose we grew up like about not even half a mile from Knockmany, and I'd say we go there like once a week, and as children like we were there every Sunday or every weekend. Great walk. Now hard on the legs though. I mean, I wouldn't advise it if you're looking something easy to do on a Sunday, but it is a mountain. Yeah, exactly. It's a literal hill. But I suppose it's funny because when I tell my friends, oh yeah, we'll go up Knockmany, it's like, it's just a nice wee walk, and then you bring them up the hill and they're like, this is not a walk. But then there's some people you say, oh, well, let's go up Knockmany, like it's a great, like I say to them, oh, it's a big hill, like, and then there's some people like, oh, that's nothing at all, like. So it's all like, it's funny how some people take it as like it's really hard to do, but no, it's lovely. It's really nice. There's a really nice site on it because
there's a tomb at the top, and it's Queen Anne's burial site. And when we were younger, growing up, like we would always be peeking into the tombs and seeing these big tombstones, and we weren't never really understood why they were there. And I suppose it's only recently, like I suppose, and it comes with the music as well. Like you're trying to understand your own area, and you're trying to like understand these parts of history that like you're so close to, and like you don't learn about in school, which is such a shame, because like I feel like those areas in primary school you should be learning about, and
understanding who you are.
Understanding, yeah, and connecting with it. But no, I do really love it, and I suppose like it's a big attraction for Knockmany is that they have the bluebells, and people come there in May to see them. And last year, whenever I was writing my album, I was like really trying to understand the nature of the area, and I was trying to write a song about Knockmany, and like it really, really made me realise this place is just absolutely gorgeous, and like you just want everyone else to have that insight in the area when they come and visit. And then we have Carleton's Trail. So our house actually is part of Carleton's Trail because it's a chapel.
Right. Traits and Stories of the Irish Peasantry, volumes 1 and 2. Have you read them?
The McKennas come visit. No, it's called our house had 2 names. So it was St Mary's Chapel and it was Johnson's Chapel. So I think the name on the trail is Johnson's Chapel. So people would start in Clogher and they'd make their way around, or you can start anywhere you want, but it's part of the trail anyway. And you'd have people stopping by and looking, like reading the signpost and then moving on to the next area. And William Carleton was a great poet from the area, and I suppose he connected so much with the nature and with the people, and he's still a prominent figure in poetry like today.
Yeah. And the thing about him, the magic about him was that he wrote in the Hiberno English that the people spoke in the area. Because I remember studying that book at university. And when I was reading it, I could just hear my granddad talking. I could just hear it. Everything was just so authentically like my granddad. And I knew, I was like, these people from like the south of England, how are they going to understand this? But it was just brilliant to see yourself reflected so much in the pages and in the stories and everything about it. And there you are, your house is part of that is part of that trail.
It's amazing.
That's unbelievable. And then on head over, as part of the Carleton Trail, you have Favour Royal Wood and St Patrick's Chair and Well. Like it's such a historically rich area that you come from. And I love that about your first album, Sinead, was that you very much celebrated who you were as a product of that area, and the Monaghan tunes and Monaghan fiddle playing was very important to you as well. So can you tell me a wee bit more about that? Anish a couple of focal faoi Urahori and Fod Crealta Shaw. A couple of words about our very kind sponsors, Rira Irish Lager. Nish, Rira, if you haven't heard about it, it kind of sums up the unpredictable devilment that Irish people are so very good at, particularly here in Maddens, in the heart of Belfast. So Rira celebrates the best bits of being Irish by creating reasons to talk, to meet, to gra, to bant, to hear, to be heard, to be lechéile, just that little more often. So music at Maddens, dig it and dig an tusa, agus anish, scoopla focal a charja for 18s and over. And please drink responsibly. Couple of focal anish faoi Urahori and Fod Crealta Shaw, music at Maddens. Music at Maddens is sponsored by McElroy Guitars. Perfectly balanced, superb craftsmanship, wonderful clarity and tone, a truly unique sound. It's only natural to want one. McElroyguitars.co.uk for more details. Focan the go anish o Urahori and Fod Crealta Shaw. A few words now from the sponsors of this podcast, Music at Maddens. Dunville's Irish whiskey, proudly connected to its past and enthusiastically embracing its future. The spirit of Belfast is back, and it's even better than ever. And I should tell you, Dunville's also sponsors Belfast Trad Fest as well. And this Irish whiskey story is one of fame, fortune, tragedy and revival. It does sound epic, doesn't it? Now restored to its rightful place amongst the world's best whiskies, Dunville's award-winning single malt and vintage blend Irish whiskies are synonymous with premium quality, exquisite taste and rich heritage. And for over 18s only, and please drink responsibly. Sláinte. This week's Music at Maddens is brought to you by Anzac Drinks, which is one of the last remaining family-owned businesses in the north, supplying a wide range of spirits and wines and beers and premium exclusive products, proudly supporting local brands and bringing them to bars and restaurants and off licenses, giving them the spotlight they truly deserve. Along with working in partnership with market-leading global brands, they're committed to personal service, competitive pricing and long-term customer relationships. Anzac Drinks are trusted by independent businesses across Northern Ireland for their reliability and expertise, and they are passionate about helping customers discover both retailer favourites and unique finds. Over 18s only, and please drink responsibly.
Definitely, yeah. So like growing up, we had the brilliant opportunity to go to like amazing fiddle players, such as Laura Began, and like we grew up listening to Donald McKaig and Cherished, Sean Michael Wayne, a good Scottstown man.
Scottstown, yeah.
So we were so lucky, like we got these opportunities to learn from those musicians, and so I suppose we went to Laura Began growing up, and across the road was her sister Monica, and we would have went to Laura for fiddle lessons, and then Mummy would have threw us into the car and brought us over for a few singing lessons from Monica. So we were so lucky we got to connect with the singing and the music, and I suppose when I was growing up, Sean Michael Wayne was doing his research on the James Whiteside collection, which is a musician. I think he was from Monaghan, but he moved to America, and his recordings were found and brought back to Monaghan, where Sean did his research on it. He did a PhD, and he brought those tunes to life through a recording in Our Dear Dark Mountain and The Sky Over It. And when that album came out, we were just absolutely just airbeat, like so excited, and we took those tunes and we learned some of them, and like we still play them now. And I suppose when I was doing the album, I was just delighted that I could bring some of them into the recording. So I played the boys of Carrie Crow, which is the townland that my mum grew up in, and it's also the townland where Dad's two uncles came from, two fiddle players. So I just thought this couldn't be any better, like I have to do it. So and yeah, no, it's brilliant. And I suppose growing up, like there was 5 boys in our house and 5 boys in my mum's brother Jane's house, so my uncle. And when I think of the boys of Carrie Crow, I think of all of them running through the bog, catching frogs, or like making huts in the bog. And you know, it's nice because like you didn't write the tune, but you can connect with, you know what I mean? So it's lovely.
But that's what it's all about, isn't
Exactly.
it? Carrying it on, and it becoming relevant to you in a different way.
Yeah.
And you mentioned there that brilliant collection of Sean Michael Wayne's and celebrating the Slieve Bay area, which again is another, I suppose, unpolished diamond that we have along the border region. And I think some work's being done there to make sure that it should be celebrated. It's celebrated as it should be.
Of course, yeah.
But songs as well, Sinead, then, because you're not only a fantastic fiddle player, and we'll talk about your style and what you have developed in a minute, but songs are so important to you too. Where did that come from? Was that because of the melody? Was it because of the words? Was it because of the singers? How did you, or just because you could sing?
I suppose Mummy just took us to Monica, like as a maybe as a time filler, or just to see if we could maybe explore this part.
And
of
who's
music.
this now, Monica?
Monica Began. So this is Laura's sister. So there's a big family of them. There's Colette. There's I forget half the names now, but they're all brilliant musicians. They're just like a family, and they just appreciate the music so much, and they brought so much to that area in Kirkcahan. And Laura's father was a big figure, Pat Began. So he was a big figure in preserving and promoting the music in the area. But we went to Monica, me and I think it was Kieran and Katrina. Daniel was kind of bribed into it, but he never took part because he was looking a quad at the time. And I remember Mum saying, I'll buy you the quad if you go to the singing lessons. And he says, nah. Or else it was Daniel. Yeah, Daniel says to Mum, all right, if you buy me a quad, I'll go to the singing lessons. And never happened. But I suppose that's just how it started out naturally. Like I remember the first time I sang at a session. It was oh God, what was it? Was it Banks of the Callan? Sweet Katie Town.
Lidis, yeah.
Yeah. And
an Armagh song, Sinead.
An Armagh song, absolute. I know. Look, I haven't looked back though.
It's a gorgeous song.
Yeah, it's a great song though. And I remember, like, just naturally, like, so I would have learned songs just for the fun. And I remember in primary school, like, whenever my principal was from Fermanagh, but my teacher at the time was from Armagh, a good Caledon woman herself, a good Katie woman herself. And when she heard that I knew this song, I remember in primary school all the children like telling her Sinead knows this song about Armagh. And she came in and then all the children were like, sing it, and I was like, oh god, right, here we go. And I started singing it, and then like that was just the first time singing like to peers or like people my own age, and it was hilarious, like, but it was actually like it kind of inspired me to it kind of encouraged me just to keep learning and to. It's mad how that one memory sticks out though.
Yeah, but it's the memory that started you off realising that there was a talent there and people wanted to hear you singing as well, Sinead.
I suppose you don't know if you want to sing out, and I suppose when you get that feedback from other people, same in music, it encourages you. Like I remember like after that, like, and my parents were so sly, like at sessions, Kilta sessions, my dad would say there'd be a few local like old people sitting around the session. He'd say, look, wee Patsy, he wants to hear you sing now. He put in a special request, and then I'd be like, oh God, like Dad, do I have to? And then I looked over at him, and wee Patsy, and there was nothing about it. Patsy didn't even know I sang, but Dad would make this up so I would sing at sessions. And I was sitting there and like felt guilty, and that's kind of another reason why I started singing. Because Daddy he didn't bully me into it, but he, kind of guilt tripped me. Oh, wee Patsy came all the way here to.
He knew what buttons to press.
Exactly,
Sinead.
but it worked. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there you go. Well, he knows his daughter well.
Oh, he's hilarious, and Mum would be the same. Like, but they did it for the best. You know what I mean? Like, there was no badness in it, but it was funny because. Like it worked. It was encouragement, really. Like,
yeah. But also you have a serious talent, so why would you not share it? And I suppose that encouragement is what you need to get started as well. And like, not only have you recognised that you have the talent, you're really putting yourself out there. Recording an album is no mean feat, and you did that with Fianna Coil. As I mentioned, your songs that meant something to you as you learned along your journey are on it. Tunes that have meant something to you as well, even though they're played everywhere, but they're personal to you in a way. But why did you want to record, and why, you're a well-known musician now, and sought after as well, Sinead. You're touring, you're a teacher as well, but why did you want to go down the path of playing music like this on stage for audiences?
Yeah, I suppose it kind of really naturally evolved when I started like college in Belfast. We were always growing up playing at flas, festivals, sessions.
The family band.
And when I got to Belfast, like I was still like enjoying doing all those things at the weekends, but it was different because I couldn't hide behind the brothers, that sort of way. When I came to Belfast, I was like, right, I'm put out here. I can go out to sessions if I want, or I can just decide to stay at home. And I think the first year I went out to the odd session, but I didn't know anyone. Like up here, I knew some people from home that were also studying, but it was kind of during the lockdown when I really, really missed the music, and I took for granted the amount of music that was happening up here, and it really made me like appreciate what we had to offer, and especially like, there's no point sitting about the house. Go out and connect with these people and find out, like, learn from them and understand them and and appreciate and make use of the great music that we have here in the city. And when that lockdown was over, I just wanted to be out every night of the week, and that really, like, just my love for the music and my love for like connecting and like making friends in the place it just grew so much. And then I suppose there's great work happening over at the Duncarn Arts Centre, and they really give an amazing platform for young musicians in the city, just finding their way in the
You've
culture.
been part of that collective, haven't you? The Duncarn Collective, where they bring together, it's about 15 musicians from every sort of background, all types of instruments.
It's amazing.
And the idea is that you're constantly learning from each other and playing together. What have you got from that experience?
It's unreal. Like, there's so many musicians and genres that I would never have looked at before until Ray asked me, do you want to be part of this collective? And
that's Ray Giffen, who's the artistic director up there.
And he's doing great work with them. He's bringing musicians from all over the country, and he's bringing us together for 4 weekends in February, and we just write music, or we share music and we play music. It's very open, there's no judgment, and it's so special because we've been so comfortable with each other now that we can just sit down and write songs or tunes, and we can mess about with it and have the crack, and some of it sounds amazing and some of it also sounds brutal. You would never share it, but it's the learning process that's the biggest thing that we've got out of it, you know, and knowing that we can do this, and it gives you a good confidence boost when you come out of those things, because you're just so motivated to go out and write your own music and to start like opening up those wee doors that are there.
You can see your eyes just lighting up whenever you're talking about it. So clearly you've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then how has that helped you so not just as a musician, not just as a singer, but also your stage presence? Because whenever you are going out gigging, something you have to learn is the bits in between.
Yeah.
And a lot of musicians would prefer to play another tune straight off without talking, because talking is not their most comfortable, or not a very comfortable experience for them. So how have you handled that part of it?
I suppose you just learn, and you learn from your mistakes. And I suppose, like, I always ask my mum, or my mum will always tell me. Actually, I never ask her; she'll just tell me. She's like,
"You could do that."
She'll like, "You could do this better," and that there was good, but also like, you talk too much at this time. And I was like, okay, that's fair enough. And I always I love criticism, because it means like, take it in, and you always feel like you're ready for the next step then. But it's great, like, you need someone in your life like that just tells you how it is, like. And I suppose it kind of prepares you for the next stage. I suppose, like, if I compared myself to the stage presence I had maybe 4 years ago, completely different, because I didn't have the same confidence. I was probably riddled with nerves and going up and just wanted to belt out the tunes and then leave and just pretend it never happened. Where now I'm like, I really enjoy it, and I love like having the yarns on the stage and having the crack with the audience, and just telling a few stories and a few bad jokes that no one laughs at.
Where do you think that confidence has come out of? Because, you know, there's a couple of things there. You mentioned coming to Belfast and going to sessions, and you know, you're walking in on your own. You don't have your brothers there anymore for the backup. So your shield is gone, and here you go. You're coming in. There's no force field anymore, and you're a bit vulnerable, and you're sitting down, and you're also a young woman, and it's not a big thing for young girls to be coming in and sitting in at sessions. It's changing, thankfully, and probably because you're adding your voice to that as well, and your fiddle to that. But how have you built up that confidence?
I suppose just from putting yourself out there, and you know what's the worst that can happen is there's so many nice people in the music scene, and there's everyone's so welcoming, and like when you understand that, like you kind of feel like you're in your safe space, and it kind of builds you up then to be your own person, and to just, who cares, like just be yourself. And I suppose that's the best attitude to have. Like at the end of the day, we're all in the same ocean of musicians. We're all trying to learn, and we're all trying to do our thing, and just be nice to everybody. And like if you see that and you understand that, you can be yourself, and especially that reflects them when I go on stage. I think that like if people are paying to come and see me, like they must like me, or else like I mustn't, like I can be myself, you know, like. And that sounds so
what do you think it is that sets you apart though? Because you know, you've Sinead McKenna, the fiddle player, Sinead McKenna, the singer. You have been nominated for the RTE Folk Awards. Your album has done brilliant business for you as well. It's been highly acclaimed, and really, really genuinely sought after. And you know, you went after it as well. You launched it everywhere you possibly could. But you put in the work, Sinead. It was a lot of work to make sure that. It's one thing making an album and having a product. It's another thing making sure that people know that it exists. It's there. You know, there's not a lot of airplay on radio for trad music, as we know. So what do you think it is about you that sets you apart?
Well, I think like when I was doing the album, like I thought it's all or nothing. Like I have to go in and just do my best, and like just have the courage to not care what people think on social media. Put it out there and put yourself out there. Like, what do you have to lose? You only really get one chance when you're like your first album is your first, and you only get to do it one time, because it's after that, you know, it's kind of your like initial like, it's your initial like, right, footprint. This is who I am. And I suppose I was like, well, if I have to do it right, like I need to do it properly, you know. So I was so lucky I had the support of my brother Eugene. Like he really, really like helped build me up, because there was some, like I was teaching full time, and like I was coming home in the evenings, and there was nothing worse I could think of than sitting on the laptop and writing out sleeve notes, or like getting in contact with people, just pure fear, because I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like, you're only learning as you go along when it's your first album. And I suppose Eugene, he's had a bit of experience with the Black Water, and he was like, no, this is how you do it. He kind of guided me along the way. And Lauren, his partner Lauren O'Neill, she was great, and the two of them really like I couldn't thank them enough for the confidence that gave me, and like the preparation going forward, and like knowing what to do next, instead of just releasing it and that's you. Like, no, you have to do these things, you have to book venues, and you have to
follow up,
make posters. And I learned how to use Canva. It's great.
And did you feel completely pushed out of your comfort zone?
100%. And like even asking people for advice, I was so like nervous, because I was like, oh, like I feel like if I ask them for advice, like they're like, why? How does she not know what she's doing? But like you don't know what you're doing.
Nobody does.
Ask. No, like you feel like such a bluffer, but I kind of am. You know what I mean? Like you are a bluffer until you learn. Like we're all just kind of like sailing along. Life's a bluff, honestly. Honestly, I'm still bluffing though. And no, but at the same time though, like I've learned so much now, where I feel like if I was doing it again, I would do it completely different, or I would have more confidence in my like abilities and stuff, and like even like to arrange music. Like it's such an enjoyable process. And
well, I can't wait to see what happens next. But then we are talking to the same blade who pulled the fiddle out on was it a flight? You were delayed, and you pulled the fiddle out in the middle of the airplane and started playing tunes. Somebody made a video and this went viral. Was it the family was on their way to New York? Were you for a load of gigs?
We were playing out in New York for our auntie just has a few connections, and she says, like, if you want to come out, do a few concerts, it's a bit of crack. And we said, why not? Sure. It was after the lockdown. I think we were kind of itching to get away.
The McKenna family band was born.
We just brought the instruments with us. We thought, why not? Like, it's a bit of crack. And I suppose we were waiting on the flight for about 20 minutes, and me and Daniel looked at each other, like, or someone said, actually, would you play a tune? And I was like, oh, here, we'll probably be leaving soon. And then we looked at the clock and we're like, oh, sure, we'll have time for one. And we literally played one. And sure, the whole flight was recording it, and the next day I looked on the phone, and sure, it was hilarious. Like people were saying it, well, like it was all over social media, and I did not know what to expect. And then I was getting phone calls to do like interviews for the radio back at home, and I didn't know what was happening, because like it was literally about 2 minutes of crack on the plane, and it turned into a bit of a social media frenzy. So.
Something bigger. But you mentioned you learning how to use Canva there, social media, not taking comments on negative comments on board seriously, and not letting them in on you. Just how big a part does social media have to play, and I suppose the digital world have to play now in being a musician, getting your music out there and being successful?
Yeah. I suppose if I had my choice, I would love to not be on social media, but it's your biggest tool as a musician. Like if you know how to use social media, you're already halfway there. Like, and I suppose like you kind of have to just utilize them all to the best of your ability. Like, be that pest on your Instagram, putting up the stories, sharing the posts, putting up a few videos, and it's the last thing you really want to do is to be annoying people, but also you have to think for yourself like what it might benefit you in the long run. So like I know even like putting up videos, like I've been asked to do a few gigs out of them and asked to go abroad, and you don't regret it then in the long run, because you're like, well, like, that's actually opening up doors for me, and why would you close them for yourself when that's just a thought in your head? Oh, people might think this and people might think that. Like, just do it. It's only a bit of crack.
Brilliant advice. Just do it. It's only a bit of crack. You can see that in a t-shirt, Sinead. That's your merch now. You can start your merch stall, Sinead.
Right, you had this idea first. We'll go half first.
See, the decency's hanging out of you, honestly. It's been so good to talk to you today.
And you too, thank you.
What's next for you?
I have a busy summer planned, just teaching at Belfast Trad, and in a lovely festival in the south of France in Monaghan. And me and Peter are heading to Osaka in Japan for 7 weeks, so that'll be good crack.
Don't believe you. So
I need to learn how to not be a picky eater though.
Osaka with the brother.
With the brother.
That's the brother Peter who plays pipes.
Peter, yeah. So we're going out for the expo. It's on every 4 years, and we're kindly invited by Machu Cassidy to go out. So looking forward to that.
Fantastic. Well, again, we'll talk to you again on the podcast. Gur Mila Moyagat, Sinead. And I know you're no stranger to Maddens either.
Oh no, by me rash.
By rash, being she in a Coney and Shaw.
Yeah, to Lavas like him Sahel.
Like most musicians, practically lives here.
I know.
Sinead McKenna, Gur Moyagat.